In this video, we're going to look at just the basics of modeling, and we're going to model something that looks kind of like a Lego block to start out with. So first things first, when you come to the default view here, realize that with using your number keypad, you can hit the 7 to go to top view, the 1 to go to front view, or the 3 to go to side view. The 4 and the 6 let you toggle your view around, and the 2 and the 8 on your number keypad let you go up and down too. You can also achieve those same things using your middle mouse button to move your area around and look, and that really helps to be comfortable doing that before you start modeling. The reason being that different views are good for different types of actions when you're modeling. For example, if I want to scale this object and make it shorter in the Z-axis, I probably want to go to something like front view to do that. Because by hitting the S key to scale and limiting my scale action to the Z-axis, I can see exactly how high I'm making this object. So let's say we make it about that high and look at it from a few different angles. That works well. Now from the 3 view, or the side view, I might scale and go in another axis to make it roughly the right shape that way. And now by looking at this object that I've just made from a few different views, I can see that it roughly matches the shape of the object that I'm trying to make. So again, just to reiterate that, you can do scale actions or rotate actions or any other transform that you want using the user ortho view, but I recommend if you're scaling in a certain axis, pick a view to do that action that makes it the easiest to accomplish what you're trying to do. All right, let's zoom back in here a little bit, get our model back centered, and pick another action to do. Let's say we want to move it out of the way because we're going to add another object into this scene that we can add to it. We can grab it and scoot it off to the side, and that's done with the G hotkey for grab, which can also be achieved by translating, and you can do rotating and scaling by pushing buttons too if that's easier for you. So now let's pop down from the top view and look at our object that we just moved off to the left a little bit here, and we will add a new mesh. And I'm going to add a cylinder to this scene because my idea is that I want to take that cylinder and add it to that block to make 6 or 8, any number of little protrusions coming up out of the top of it. Looking down from the top, I could scale from here and have a rough idea of about how big I want to make it. And then I can grab it with G and move it over on top of the cube that I'm working on. But I probably want to flip again now to, by pressing the 1 key, flip down so I can see it from the front and see how far up and down is it going. So let's go ahead and grab that object and move it up a little bit so it pokes out of the top, and set it down there. I'm going to just orbit around a little bit here so I can see it's still not quite aligned where I want it to be. So I'm going to jump back to this view and select it, G key to grab it, and move it over to this side of it and drop it back down. Now to duplicate this object, you can do it a number of different ways. Shift D will duplicate an object for you. You can also just, over here under Object, Duplicate Objects, make a copy of it, and you can constrain that motion after you duplicate it to be just in one axis by pressing either X, Y, or Z on your keypad to limit it to, for example, I'm going to do just X, and drop it down. Looking down from the top, I can see that I have 2 now, so now would be a good time, if I like where they're roughly organized in space, to shift grab and get 2 of them, and then I can duplicate those and move them down, and I can limit that, say, to the y-axis and drop, and then repeat. And by repeating that action and making more and more, I can end up basically creating, we'll hit our Y key again, a series of copies that are all constrained and moving in a straight line and spread out relatively evenly across this object. Now to do my final adjustment, I probably want to jump down into, say, let's go to the side view by hitting 3. So I can view from the side here, and now I can grab the big object and center that one roughly. So you could spend more time lining things up. You probably want to hit the 5 key to turn off perspective mode so you can really make sure everything lines up correctly. But that's a good introduction to the basics of using duplicate, using primitive objects, aligning them using different views, and starting to do some basic modeling in Blender.